In my thesis, I am occupying by industrial sites urbanism, and I verify the hypothesis that greenery takes an integral part of the industrial site urbanism. And in this presentation, I would like to show you the difference between two industrial sites, one situated in the post-communist country in the Czech Republic, Nové, Město pod Smrkem, and the second one is situated in Italy, and it's Schio. Today there is a problem that most of the industry was moved to Asia, and in Europe there is no more, and so we deal with the similar problem both in these post-communist and non-post-communist countries, and we can observe also differences of the greenery and landscape development of these industrial sites. So my examples are situated here. So Nové Město pod Smrkem lies at the north of the Czech Republic and Schio on the north of Italy. Both examples are situated in a submountainous hilly landscape, which was characteristic with pastures, and their industry developed along the mountainous streams. The Czech Republic sample is a town which had in the second half of the 19th century about 2,000 workers, and at the picture you can see the town and the railway station in about 100 years ago, and here you have the sample of Schio. It has about 2,000 to 4,000 workers and more. Again, on left you can see the historical photograph of the town with its countryside, and on the right you can see the railway station. So the questions of this conference are: how can we understand our bequest of the communist era face to face with our Western neighbors? And how do we care about the industrial sites landscape in different socio-economic framework? And how are we going to implement the recent design tendencies? I'm concentrated at the first part of the second question. So, Schio, let's introduce me short, or one day walk in the city, through the city. So, coming there, you can see a scheme of industrial sites in the region. One industrialist villa is situated in a village nearby the Schio, and you can see that it is maintained as a cultural heritage. There are cultural events, and it's preserved quite well. Here are the events. Here is a garden and the sculpture of the industrialist Antonio Rossi, who was the owner of the factory. Here is the crocodile statues. Here is a part very close to the house, the ornamental part of the garden. Here is a English park part of the garden. This is view from the street. You can see that trees have enough space to develop their characteristic habitus. Also, the paths are well maintained, collective lake, grasses, and also surroundings with orchards and trees, forests. This is another garden in the city, which was in property of the industrialist Antonio Rossi. This garden is a cultural site, monument itself. It has some opening hours. It's called Giardino Jacquard, also well maintained. This is a statue of Antonio Rossi in the garden. And this is a textile factory. Today, no fabrication here. It's abandoned. Very likely the Czech factories. But we can see that some new development is in process. And this development includes not only building renovation, but also urban space renovation and garden and landscapes renovation, public spaces, and so on. This is a factory. You can see that the condition of the building is very similar to Czech or post-communist countries' factories. Some of the buildings are renovated in the preservation approach. Others are renovated in modern style. This is example behind. There is an example of the modern renovation approach. The public space, which is free because parking is put downside. This is the entrance to the garage. This is the stream. This is the greenery nearby the factory. Another monument to the industrial heritage of the site. This is renovation, reuse of buildings with public space, which enables access also to disabled. But although it is a new approach, there is some memorial to the industrial past. Also new modern art, other reuses. This is worker quarter and trees in streets. Church, which was also financed by Antonio Rossi and his company. Park for workers. Theater financed by the company. Another conversion and the historical preservation approach to the industrial heritage. There is a museum with industrial history exhibition. So to conclude, I could observe persisting maintenance, quite clear becomingness, cultural heritage consciousness, adequate activity in industrial building reuse, and space as a value. Now let's walk to Nové Město pod Smrkem. So this is the typical socialistic panorama of the Bohemia town. Also there is a mountainous countryside. This is the factory building. This is the street. Although there are some new renovations, I miss united urbanistic conception here. In the socialist era, the architectural view of the buildings was not respected so much that there are new modernizations without lie to this historical industrial architecture. This is a public space renovation. The area is closed, and you can learn about activities inside it only from post boxes. This is a factory area, the photograph taken from the wall. This is the condition of the alley. The greenery surrounding the factory. Open spaces of the greenery around the factory. The stream. The villa of the industrialist, the garden of the industrialist around the villa, also the park, English park, the villa, but you can see that it is renovated. There is some enclosure. There was made some parking. But we can observe that there is a German company in it who renovated. They renovated also the garden. This is the ornamental part of the garden. This is the entrance. This is a neighborhood surrounding the entrance. The only one mention about the industrialist who was Klinger. His name was Klinger. These are socialistic worker houses, factories, in the factory wall. These are administrative buildings. They are reused now, and the buildings are renovated, but the greenery is not adequate to the building. So, I observed there diminishing maintenance, unclear becomingness, cultural heritage disconnectedness, inadequate activity in industrial building reuse, space as a garbage, or feeling of the stolen space. So thank you for your attention. We can discuss this topic now.
I just wanted to know why you chosen Schio. So why?
It seemed to me really similar with the countryside and with the number of workers, and it was both developed in the second half of the 19th century, and I suppose there was approximately the same proportion of green spaces. And I think it could be good example for us how to continue in the development of the space of these industrial sites. I think it doesn't matter if it's not really exactly the best sample to show. It is difficult to find really similar towns in different countries. There are also different characteristics which influence how did it develop in both countries. It's not about post-communism, but it's maybe also about traditions and values of culture in society in general. There is a phenomenon that to the space, to the area of buildings, there is in Bohemia almost no reuse, minimal. And in Schio, maybe 80% or in future maybe more are prepared to be reused.
So the villa in the Italian town is now a museum. Do you understand?
Yes.
What about the factory?
There will be some shopping malls and some housing, and the most ornamented houses and gardens are used for cultural purposes, and those more industrial are used for commerce and for housing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.